Look what we have here. A mailman. Are you lost, Grandpa? The thief laughed, the sound echoing through Mrs. Gable's living room. The second man, more aggressive, aimed a knife. He's just the postman. Get out of here before you get hurt. Frank Miller stood in the doorway, his blue postal uniform soaked from the rain, his leather satchel heavy on his shoulder. He looked at the two men, then at Mrs. Gable, huddled and terrified by the fireplace.
Frank's face, normally friendly and weathered by time, remained calm, but his eyes changed. The familiar warmth vanished, replaced by a cold, analytical focus. He didn't see two thieves. He saw two hostile targets in an environment he knew better than they did. They had made two mistakes. The first was breaking into Mrs. Gable's house. The second, and fatal, was underestimating the man who delivered their mail.
They didn't know that the mailman with the slight limp had spent a decade in war zones. They didn't know his bag didn't just carry letters, but the instincts of one of the finest recon operators the Marines had ever trained. To understand the tactical precision that was about to unfold, we must go back to the start of that day.
Before we find out how Frank uses his skills, if you believe quiet heroes are the strongest, please like this video and subscribe to The True Character Tales. And let us know in the comments, what city are you watching from? Now let's rewind to that morning. The rain was cold and relentless. At the post office sorting hub, the mood was sour. "Miller," his supervisor barked, "the new route mapping is a mess. The system says your route is 20 minutes longer. Just deal with it." Frank glanced at the printout for less than 5 seconds before turning back to his mail. "The system is wrong," Frank said quietly, not looking up. "It's sending me up Hillside Avenue before Oak Street." "Just an observation. The truck can't make that left turn during morning traffic. If you reverse Oak and Hillside, you save the 20 minutes and an extra 3 on fuel." The supervisor stared, dumbfounded. Frank just shrugged. "Just an observation." He wasn't just a mailman. He was an observer. His mind was a map. And that map, forged in the military, saw patterns no one else did. His slight limp, which the neighborhood regulars assumed was just age, was a constant reminder of a different life. A reminder of a humid jungle, the weight of a recon pack, and the responsibility of observing, unseen, for days on end. As a Marine recon operator, Frank's job wasn't to start fights. It was to gather intelligence so others could win them. He was trained to notice the unnoticeable, a broken twig, a disturbed patch of dirt, a silence where there should be sound. This training never left him. It's why, 2 days ago, he noticed the van, a Bloomfield landscaping van parked on Mrs. Gable Street. But it was late autumn. The grass was dormant. No one was planting flowers. The two men inside were reading the paper, but their eyes were scanning, constantly checking mirrors. "Landscapers don't watch, they work," Frank had muttered to himself. He made a mental note. Mrs. Gable's house was the highlight of his route. An 80-year-old widow, she always had a kind word. That afternoon she insisted he come in for a cup of tea to escape the cold. "You're too good to me, Frank." He sat in her living room for just 5 minutes.
but his mind cataloged everything. The heavy iron fireplace tools, the polished hardwood floor, the ornate heavy crystal vase on the mantel.
He noticed the photo on the mantel, a young man in a pristine army uniform. "My husband," she said softly, seeing his gaze. "He was a good man, served in Korea." Frank nodded, a silent bond passing between them. "He was, ma'am." As he left, he knew the layout of that room better than his own.
The next day, the landscaping van was gone, but Frank noticed fresh, muddy boot prints on the stone path leading to Mrs. Gable's back door, even though the front path was clean. The tracks were deep, made by heavy men. Then, today, the rain was washing everything away. The landscaping van was back, but parked 2 streets over, near an alley. Sloppy, Frank thought, changing positions but staying in the same operational area.
This is the turning point. He reached Mrs. Gable's house, and his blood ran cold. The final piece of the puzzle, the mailbox. The previous day's mail, which he had delivered at 10 a.m., was still there, untouched and damp. Mrs. Gable always collected her mail by 10:05. She loved getting letters. This was wrong. This was deeply wrong.
His senses are screaming. He quickened his pace, slightly ajar. His military senses, dormant for years, screamed. The house was too quiet. The radio wasn't playing. He walked up the porch steps, his limp forgotten. He didn't look at the mailbox. He looked at the front door. It was unlocked. No, it was slightly ajar, just a crack. A forced entry. His heart hammered once, hard against his ribs. His training took over.
His movements are silent, fluid, tactical. The house smelled of fear. He didn't call out. He didn't knock. He eased the heavy mail satchel off his shoulder, placing it silently on the porch mat. He pushed the door open, centimeter by centimeter. The hinges didn't creak. He slipped inside, a ghost in a blue uniform. The house smelled of old books and fear. That's when he heard them, a whimper, Mrs. Gable, and 2 male voices, harsh and impatient.
"Just tell us the code for the safe, old woman, and we'll leave." Frank rounded the corner into the living room. The first thief saw him and froze before bursting into laughter. "Look what we have here! A mailman! Are you lost, Grandpa?" The second man, more aggressive, aimed a knife. "He's just the postman! Get out of here before you get hurt!" Frank looked at them, then at Mrs. Gable, huddled on the floor. His eyes turned to ice. The man with the knife lunged. "I warned you!" Frank didn't retreat. He sidestepped, grabbed the heavy, iron fireplace poker from the stand Sir Gable kept by the hearth. He didn't swing it like a bat. He used it like a baton. A short, fast, powerful strike against the man's knife-wielding wrist.
A sharp crack echoed in the room. The man screamed, a high-pitched shriek as the knife clattered onto the hardwood floor. He stumbled back, clutching his broken, useless hand. The second thief, the leader, stopped laughing. His eyes widened in shock. He roared and charged, aiming to tackle Frank like a football player. Frank didn't stand his ground. He retreated.
But it was a tactical retreat. He moved backward into the narrow hallway that led to the kitchen. The fatal funnel his instructor used to drill into them. The thief charged blindly after him into the tight space. Frank, knowing his back was safe, stopped. He swung his heavy leather mail satchel, which he looped back on his shoulder in a tight, brutal arc. The bag, weighing 30 pounds with mail and its steel buckle, connected with the man's head with a sickening thud. He staggered, stunned. At that exact moment, the first thief, crazy with pain, tried to grab Frank from behind. Frank ducked under the grasp, grabbed the man's shirt, and used his momentum to slam him bodily into the stunned leader.
Both men crashed into the hallway wall, a tangle of limbs. The leader recovered first, pushing his injured companion away. His eyes were pure murder. He lunged at Frank again. Frank grabbed the one thing he didn't want to touch, Mrs. Gable's heavy crystal vase from a small table. The thief swung. Frank blocked with the vase. It shattered, but the impact was enough. Frank used the opening, a rapid 3-strike combo to the man's pressure points. The man's eyes rolled back, and he collapsed.
Silence. Just the sound of Frank's heavy breathing and the sobs of Mrs. Gable. The operator stepped back. The healer stepped forward. He went to Mrs. Gable first. "It's okay, Eleanor. You're safe now." His voice was gentle again. He quickly checked her pupils, her pulse. She was in shock, but unhurt. "Stay right here."
He moved to the thieves. The first had a clearly broken wrist. The second was unconscious from the head trauma. He put them both in the recovery position. He used the man's own belt to secure the first thief's hands. He then went to the kitchen and returned, not with a weapon, but with a bag of frozen peas, placing it gently on the second man's growing head wound.
Only then did he pick up the phone and call 911. When the police arrived, the scene was surreal. 2 large thieves, one grown, one unconscious, and a mailman calmly applying first aid. Detective Russo, the same veteran from the nurse incident, looked at the scene, utterly baffled. "Frank, you did this? With what? Junk mail?"
Frank stood up, his hip aching. "They shouldn't have been here, Russo. They scared Mrs. Gable." Russo looked at the carnage. "They did more than scare 'em, Frank. Who are you?" Frank just shook his head. "Just the mailman." As the paramedics wheeled the men out, Russo noticed the mailbag on the floor. Tucked into the worn leather strap was a small, faded pin, a Marine Corps Recon Jack.
Russo stopped. He looked at Frank with new eyes. "Recon, I'll be damned!" Frank picked up his bag. "Have a good day, detective." The thieves never understood what happened. They thought they were ambushed by a ghost. In a way, they were. They made the fatal mistake of threatening a quiet man in his own territory, a man who sees everything, the invisible man who walks the same path every single day.
Frank's story reminds us that true strength isn't about being the loudest or the toughest. It's about quiet observation, discipline, and the will to protect what you love. The most dangerous person is the one you never see. If you were inspired by Frank's quiet courage, please like this video so more people can see this story. For more tales of justice and hidden character, subscribe to the True Character Tales and hit the bell. Join our community and tell us in the comments, what quiet hero do you know? Thank you for watching.